Well, this is Baruch Fleischman after a little remodeling in the studio here, trying to get the dust settled. We're coming over here to page Gimel. This is the very beginning of Parsha's Yisro. And we've been talking about the problem, or the good things, that are created by lifting up your hands towards heaven. So it depends if just for doing it for nothing is a very big problem because it triggers all kinds of responses up above, and when there's no bracha coming from down below, then it turns around the other way and becomes a curse up above. And we saw that idea, and here comes the Zohar over here, and that says like this. The high parisa, the Yadin is Razin Eloy, and there are upper secrets. B'shata the is parisha is the kafel halayla. So when a person has, I guess a parisha means it spreads out his hands. We'll see what the Matok has something different to say about it. Is the kafel, and then they're lifted up la'ela to upwards towards heaven. Okay, Barnash the Kucha Baricho will become a Razin Eloy. So that this honors a man will honor the Kucha Baricho, become a Razin Eloy with all different kinds of upper secrets. So you see from this it makes a yichud out of the Ten Commandments. Begin the yachta kula in order to make everything into one. His baruch shma kadish k'dekachazit. Find a way to make the bracha for the holy name as is fitting to it. And then this idea coming a little bit more deep, and then you see that it's fit. The Yachta Raza to make a oneness out of the secret of the inner chariots, the Retichin is chariots, Penimoim, that are in the interior ones. Now, what all this is about? Reticha de Lavar, and then there's also chariots outside. Remember, the concept of chariot is like a vehicle that goes from the bottom to the top, and from the top to the bottom, it brings brachos, brings it back. The Yisbarach Shema Kadisha, in order that the holy name should be blessed, because citron on all sides, V'yisyached Kula Gachada, that everything should come together in oneness, Ela Vasata, up above and down below as well. So let's look at the Zohar a little bit more, and then we'll look at the Matak with the Vash down here. It's down here at the bottom of the page, and God should help me keep my pages straight. A mantra devar ba'amar, so he continues his words and he says, "The bezerah ba'inyan shall precious yadayim shall sodas el yonim," that when you spread the hands and it awakens sodas el yonim, upper secrets. He says ki b'shal shehem nifrasha v'niskafos l'mala, that when your hands are erect and they're spread towards the heaven. Karoe in the right way. Mekabe the Adam is a Kodesh Baruch becomes Sodas El Yonim. It honors Hashem with many, many secrets up above in the upper worlds. And Mefarish explains like this: Who roe the Yachad as Sarah Ma'amaros, he is fit to make a yichud of the 10 different commandments. Shehem Sod Eser Spheros Al Neolamos. This is also the secret of the 10 hidden spheros, b'chochma, ayedei zekifas eser etzbos lamala, and this happens as a result of taking your 10 fingers and spreading them up towards the heaven. Now he said, so the reason kedin the yached as kol ha'eser spheros hamispashtos v'atzilos, and this is to make a yichud out of all the 10 spheros that are spread through Atzilus. Now, understand the way Atzilus works is that from a much higher place comes into the goof of Atzilus, which is a Rosh Toch Sof. And this Rosh Toch Sof has 10 spheros to it. And it goes down and it flows into those 10 spheros. And instead of there being 10 different entities, but they become combined into one down that middle line probably. And this renders the proper bracha for the holy name. So make this, he says that bless the holy name. What's the holy name? The holy name is the name of Malchus, which, so to speak, is a gateway to reach into the higher worlds. gam asara anafim amispashtim demata amisyachadim. So let's see what he says. Ki hashroshim. He says that when the hidden roots hanel lomim that are hidden inside of chokhmah, because rashis is chokhmah, the first sphere is going to be chokhmah of olam atzilus. When all of those roots come into oneness, so this is talking about a very pneumistic oneness. I might ask you, say, well, why didn't I say Keser is the first? It depends on how you count, because we're really talking about Chabad. He's going to say it over here. We're really talking about Chabad, is the three Malchim up above, and then we're talking about the Gufa, which is 7 spheros, including Malchus. So that's what we normally talk about, because Keser really comes from a dimension beyond simple Atzilus. Baruch Shmo Kadisha Chaze, but Baruch Shem HaKodesh Hu Malchus Geroy, to bless Malchus as it fit. Malchus is our gateway to have our prayers go to Rom HaMa'alos, to the highest possible places. Because when these roots that are hidden inside of Chochmah make a oneness, then the 10 branches, and mispashtim, the mata, misyachtim, everything that spreads downwards in Atzilus, that means the Chabad, he's going to say it again, Chabad Nahim, that's the 10 spheros. So therefore what ultimately happens is that when it spreads throughout the Guf, as Anpen, it ultimately winds up in Malchus. This is able to make a unity. In other words, once again, the concept of a oneness. Sod Merakavos Abinimios, which is the secret of the lower vehicles. Let's call them a chariot. The word is chariot, but it means vehicles, like elevators. Shall Olam Atzilos that are in the Olam Atzilos Ayidei Hispashtus B'nei Atzbaos. And this, how does this happen? It's because you point your fingers upwards. Shehem makom abasa lamala, which is the place of flesh. It's a fleshy place. Shehem keneged chagtam, which is opposite, which correspond to the lower 7 spheros, which are chesed gevura. And then Tiferes has 6 spheros in it, and malchus. So all of that together, it's called chagtam here. He's calling the chagtam. Now let's see what else he has here in the Matat Medabar. Retich de Levar, Vesod Merkavas Achitzonius, Shabarolamos Bia al Yedechis Pashnos, Achre Atzbaus. So he says not only does it unite all the spheros of its Olam Atzilus, but also he says Retich de Levar, those vehicles that bring prayer up even from outside of Atzilus. Vesod Merkavas Achitzonius. This is the Merkava of those things which are outside Shabarolamos Bia. They come from the worlds of Bia. His pashtos achra by spreading onto the back of the hands. Machom hatzvarnayim, which is the place of the nails. Shehem keneged malache argaman, which are correspond. Then he says the fingers correspond to these 5 angels, which are two of them are really one. It's Ariel, Raphael, Gavriel, Michael, and Noriel. Noriel and Oriel, Nor is all the solution of light. So he said, begin the Yisbaruch Shema Kadisha Sitrin Kadesh Yisbaruch Shem HaKodesh shall have a Malchus B'kol L'Olam, so they should be blessed in all the worlds. He says, Yisyached Kol Ke'echad, make everything into oneness. He says, this is the power of the raising up the hands. Ke'echad L'Mal L'Mata. So he said, from what's up above and bring it all down below, and in other words, in the more physical world, to make them all into one. Yes, but now he says like this, and let's look at this carefully. He says, Ki esa etz ba'osif sna'asev asara makoros mimata lamal. So he says the 10 figures, this is Matuk explaining the Zohar. They actually make 10, well, you can either mako, let's say roots, Mimata Lamala, starting at the bottom and going to the top. And then the 10 spheros turn around and they make 10 different roots, Milamala Lamata. So you have the Mata Lamala. That's the what we call Mayim Nukvin, is our prayers and our Torah going upwards. And then we have Mayim Duchrin, male waters, which flow from the top to the bottom. The Nimsa Shekala Olomos Kulin Nechshar Mezecha Bezer. And what happens is that when up is down, when down goes up and then up goes down, you're really bringing everything into unity. And this happens when a person lifts up his hands up above. So the person has to be careful not to lift up the 10 fingers of his hand for nothing, just to push them up in the air. Then what you're doing is you're awakening all of these foundational paths for nothing. And then the 10 malachim, which were appointed in regards to the way the world would run, so that really come for the 10 spheres of Malchus, they're going to curse that person. Because this way he gave a way for the Kitzonim to get a hold of this. But Shefa Shenimshach Me'eses Spheres Shalom Malchus, from the Shefa that comes from the 10 spheres of Malchus. That's the sheer. This is actually the beginning of Erev Shabbos, Parshas Yisro. This is Baruch Fleischman.